Greetings, brothers and sisters. Today is the 6th of August, and it is a Wednesday. Um, and it's 2025's. So, did I say greetings? Um, I'm a little bit groggy this morning, but I saw this last night. Jake Tapper had a thing, and I'm going to go watch it when I eat breakfast to make sure I didn't miss the Jake Tapper part. Because I thought it was worth saving. I looked for the video. They didn't put it up on CNN, but they put up this part, which is part of the most important part. So Trump is just, he talks like a freaking criminal. He's just incriminating himself. And he's lost, when you drink alcohol, the first thing that it affects is the part of your brain where you self-perceive, where you see yourself as others see you, right? You're looking through other people's eyes at what you're doing. And when you drink alcohol, you just lose that. And so all your inhibitions go down because you don't care what you look like in front of other people. And this also happens as you age. You see this with older people who just, seems like they just give up. They no longer care about the way people look at them. And, they lose sense of hygiene or whatever it is. And a lot of that has to do with their brains deteriorating. And somebody who eats a lot of toxic food, like a guy who eats at McDonald's, Trump does not have a healthy diet. He's in relatively good shape for a guy who doesn't, seem to care about healthy things. Of course, he doesn't drink. There's been, the one guy said that he did a lot of Adderall and Coke. But, he doesn't have a healthy lifestyle. But his brain has deteriorated to such extent. And he's also feeling himself as invulnerable and invincible. And it's the one thing I don't want to say admired, but appreciated about Trump is that he just tells the truth without telling the truth. He's always lying, but you can see through his lies. Like he's transparent, unintentionally transparent, right? And he's a grifter and a criminal. And this was, I'm going to show you the whole clip and then I'm going to dissect it. But it's such a great example. Like Trump is just admitting to everything right here. Let's just watch the whole clip here.
What elections are all about. Yeah, please.
Thank you so much, President Trump. Two questions for you. One, were you aware of and did you personally approve the prison transfer for Ghislaine Maxwell that your Justice Department?
I didn't know about it at all. No, I read about it just like you did.
And do you believe that she is?
It's not a very uncommon thing.
Do you believe that she's credible to be listening to? Your Deputy Attorney General sat down with her recently.
Well, let me tell you, he's a very talented man. His name is Todd Blanche. He's a very legitimate person, very high. I just a very highly thought of person, respected by everybody. And I didn't talk to him about it, but I will tell you that whatever he asked would be totally appropriate, and it's not an uncommon thing to do that. And I think he probably wants to make sure that, people that should not be involved or aren't involved are not hurt by something that would be very, very unfortunate, very unfair to a lot of people. But I will say this, Todd Blanche is one of the most highly respected people you'll ever meet. So I know this. I didn't discuss it with him, but anything he talked about with her or the fact that he did that, not unusual, number one, and most importantly is something that would be totally above board.
Okay, so that that is fucking horrible. That is fucking just a total criminal talking like a criminal in front of people with the reporters like I'm a criminal and you guys are going to say shit about it. And they're not. They're not just I don't know if they hope people can see it, and I know people can't because everyone's been so dumbed down, right? I was saying in my last video, when they get away with something like they did with Bill Clinton and Bill Clinton, banging an intern in the White House, it opened it up for Trump and all these other criminals because they know, all right, we know the American people aren't going to do shit about this, right? Like the lockdown, the COVID lockdown, and the people just dropping like flies. And there's no investigation. That vaccines have a vaccine court and you can't sue them. And yet they pressured everyone to take one without, having proper third-party testing. Trump rushed the thing out, right? And then, Operation Warp Speed and the way Biden handled it. And, Big Pharma having just overwhelming power in the the media and politics, and just and people losing their kids to heart attacks, and now they're putting defibrillators in like schools, and people don't give a shit. They don't even know. Never mind fucking being mad about it, right? CNN had a guy who was, the last president, who Jake Tapper, who called him out, towards the end of the thing. But he was senile and a groper and a bad guy, Joe Biden, before they ran him for president. And CNN had done a hit piece on him in 2015, so they knew. They covered all of his shit, his groping, his all these things. And that was before dementia set in, before Parkinson's. So, they suck. And CNN could have covered the Jeffrey Epstein stuff forever. They could have covered it. But they're like, oh, this is a right-wing thing. And that's how bad it is. No one's, cares about the truth until an issue, getting to the truth of anything, but certainly the issues that are looked at Republican issues. Oh, the Republicans are into Jeffrey Epstein. So that's stuff we'll talk about on Fox News, in a very vague way. Because, Fox News is owned by Rupert Murdoch, who is, a Mossad asset, right, and a pro-Israel guy. And so they're not going to get to the bottom of anything at Fox, and certainly not CNN. But now they look at it as, oh, wow, this is a bad thing for Trump, and it's a horrible thing for Trump, right? But CNN doesn't care about the victims, and neither does Trump. And so let's go through this, right? This is Trump just admitting to everything, right?
Are all about. Yeah, please.
Thank you so much, President Trump. Two questions for you. One, were you aware of and did you personally approve the prison transfer for Ghislaine Maxwell that your Justice Department?
I didn't know about it at all. No, I read about it just like you did.
Okay, so that's not the meat of the thing. But that's bad in itself, because that's a lie. It has to be a lie. So if they're transferring Ghislaine Maxwell from, a prison where the girls say that she was worse than Jeffrey Epstein. She threatened their life. She, groomed them. They consider her worse. And as a woman, it's always worse, right? A woman-on-woman crime, like a woman who's exploiting young girls for some creepy old guy. The woman, she'd always be seen worse. If you saw a movie, if they should make it like a movie of Jeffrey Epstein. And, all these people, and include Trump as a character, right? And so, there should be some kind of, they won't do it because of the people who control Hollywood, because it would, they would have to make reference to the CIA and Mossad and all this stuff, make a good one. But Ghislaine would be the fucking evil witch that would, everyone would think of her more of a villain than they would even Jeffrey Epstein, right? Jeffrey Epstein's just a dopey creep, he'd be played by some kind of a dopey creep, just like Trump would be. But Ghislaine Maxwell was in there. Virginia Giuffre said that she was scarier and eviler than Jeffrey Epstein. They all felt this way. So she did all this human trafficking. She's a fucking nightmare. And Trump wishes her well. Trump had already said he wishes her well, right? But he's transferring her to a lower security prison for, that's already, they're giving her something. She's going from a fucking worse place to a better place. And Trump is getting, this is not going away. Trump is realizing this is not going away. They've thrown everything at it. And they realize that it's just, now that MSNBC and CNN are covering it, it's going to stick. And, Trump talked about Reagan being Teflon, but Trump has been Teflon. He's had more accusations, more court filings, more lawsuits, more scandals. A lot of it real. A lot of it that should have, it would have ended any politician's career when I was growing up. And, until Bill Clinton got away with the Monica Lewinsky thing. And Bill Clinton had Teflon and Reagan had Teflon. But this Jeffrey Epstein story is like the kryptonite to his Teflon. This is the one thing where, his base, which is a cult, a cult of dumb fucks. And, this is a drop dead issue for them, right? And so, if he loses their support in any real way, the Republicans who want to take back their party, they have that opportunity. So, It's that. And so he knows about this, right? He knows about every little thing about this, or should. And so it represents the plausible deniability. I don't know about that. He finds out shit from reporters all the time. That's a guy who shouldn't be president. Like he goes, oh, I'm just hearing that from you now. He should know all these things. And he does, and he's lying about it. He wants plausible deniability. He doesn't want to be accountable for something like that, for everything. So everything they ask him, he's like, I don't know about that. Well, Pam Bondi's handling that. He's got people that are shields between him and the actual issue. And so that's the first thing. Like, that's really bad. And that's not even, because he says it all the time. Like, you think we're fucking stupid? We think you're not thinking about this thing at all? You think they're not going to you and saying, hey, we want to put her in a minimum security prison. What do you think how that might happen? In terms of a criminality, because he's got exposure on Epstein, which they all know. He fucking was number 2 to Ghislaine Maxwell. Jeffrey Epstein was closest to Ghislaine Maxwell. They were like, a weird kind of couple. And Trump was his best buddy. He was the next person closest to Jeffrey Epstein. They had a 20-year relationship, and he was with him more than any of these other people. And so, he's got the most exposure. And this has happened under his watch. Jeffrey Epstein being killed at a federal prison. He was in charge of the federal government, and all the other aspects of this thing has happened there. And them trying to bury the case is happening right now. It's his scandal. He owns it. And he doesn't know? Of course he knows, right? And so how stupid does he think people are? And just that's a criminal saying that, right? Like, what's the best answer for me? And I showed you in my last video from yesterday how he was talking about how Clinton misplayed, as a scumbag criminal and as a perv, his issues with women, Monica Lewinsky, and these other things, right? How he didn't do it right. Like his team and his lawyers didn't play it right because he's a guy who gets away with shit, right? Not about, how wrong it is, because he doesn't have any moral fiber, and I'll show you this in a moment. Well, let me go to that now. Let's go to that first here. So there's a teenage girl. He's giving a hug, right? So I don't know where this is from. It looks like, fairly recently.
I had a case. It was very interesting. A beautiful girl who was 17 or 18 applied to be a waitress. She's so beautiful. She's like a world-class beauty, like the young lady who just asked a question about the actress.
Okay, so he's talking about he's like 17, 18, whatever it was, right? World-class beauty. That is a young girl that he's looking at as a sexual object, right? He's seeing her as beautiful.
She's like a world-class beauty, like the young lady who just asked a question about the actress. She's so beautiful. And my people came, she said, look, Mr. Trump, she has no experience. So I interviewed her anyway, because she was so good. And I said, let me ask you, do you have any experience? She goes, no, sir. I said, when can you start?
So that's him admitting that he hired a young girl who didn't have any qualifications just because she was pretty, right? Like just young, this is her.
Who was 17 or 18 applied.
So this is just illegal or barely legal. And, it's 18 is legal, or 17 might be legal for consent in some states, but, he's a 50, 60-year-old man. There's nothing but creepery there, right? Like, it's just creepy. Like, it's just, And if he's into young girls here, of course him and Jeffrey Epstein talked about it because they're both into young girls. Like Trump said, he said that he likes beautiful girls as much as I do, right? He gives this girl a kiss.
You start. You'll give her more than my plan anytime. See, now, she worked at my plan. That's like a death wish for me, right? That's like an alcoholic. I have many friends here, wonderful people. They're alcoholics. You put scotch in front of them. It's like, this would be my form of alcoholism.
So this is Trump admitting to, like, he's saying that this is like putting alcohol in front of him. Now, we already know that he thinks he can just walk up to women and grab them by the pussy. We already know that he admitted to going backstage into the changing rooms, the private rooms for the young girls that no one was allowed in, and where they were naked and half naked, and that he went in there, and the people who worked for him said that go up and talk to him, and whatever. I covered this in my last video, the stuff that's there. Go up to him and smooth with him and touch him or whatever it was, right? So we know there's been multiple complaints about him sexually harassing and sexually abusing women in one capacity, which he's admitted to. He said he got away with it because he was the owner of the pageant. So he'd want to walk into these teenage girls' dressing room and, when they're half naked, and that it's like he's an addict. It's like an alcoholic. He's addicted to these young girls. And this was from 2007, the Learning Annex Real Estate and Wealth Expo. He was paid $400,000 to give speeches there, right, to promote whatever they were promoting. He talked about this being his addiction, and consent from the young girls was never a problem. It's not something he considers, right? And he's talking about it right when Jeffrey Epstein's getting busted. So he was talking to business people, and everyone knew what the kind of scoundrel he was. They probably knew what kind of scoundrel Jeffrey Epstein was, and they probably knew what Trump was into. It was probably kind of an open secret there with Jeffrey Epstein and all these people. They were getting away with this kind of behavior, and there was no Me Too. There was no, these were just rich and powerful men who were sexually abusing young women, and there wasn't much of an outcry, right? Jeffrey Epstein was just about to get charged, and then that was going to change these things. But he's openly admitting, like he did in the interview, it said that Jeffrey Epstein likes beautiful women as much as I do. He likes to party, and he likes them young. And if Trump's like 16 and 17-year-old girls and 18-year-old girls, which he is, and he's saying that he's attracted to them, and he would, it's like he would hire these girls, and then it would be like an addict. He would just be trying to bang them, or abusing them or doing whatever it was. He was a married man, and all this stuff, and so he's a scumbag, which he admits to here. So let's get back to this here.
And do you believe that she is?
It's not a very uncommon thing.
Do you believe?
Okay, so first, it's not an uncommon thing. So for Trump's attorney to go talk to, one of the assistant attorney general, but his attorney, and we'll get into that in a moment. But for his attorney to go talk to Ghislaine Maxwell to get to the bottom of things would not be something that, 6 months ago would even be questioned by his base. Like if his attorney was going to talk to her and in support of the victims and in support of getting the truth out and making some sort of deal where she would name names and do the rest of the stuff that she could do, right? Tell the whole story. That would be, that would be not uncommon. But Trump is already defensive, right? He's saying this isn't uncommon. He's already defending something because he knows it's skullduggery, right? That's the first thing. So he's incriminating. This is criminal talk. This isn't uncommon. She didn't even ask if it's uncommon, right? He's already every time he talks about this since the very beginning, when he came out and said all these things about, even before, was interviewed, and I'll conclude all those clips. I'm going to turn this beginning part into a compilation of his self-incriminating and creepy shit he said, right? But because I have that section from my other video I'm going to put in here somewhere. Not for today. Well, maybe I'll leave it in there for today just because it's relevant and people can watch it again or not. You can fast forward. But either way, he's incriminating himself, right? And so that's not uncommon. No one said it was uncommon, right? You're the one who's bringing that shit up.
I think that she's credible to be listening to. Your deputy attorney general sat down with her recently.
Well, let me tell you, he's a very talented man. His name is.
So he was saying not uncommon to move her. Of course it is. Now his deputy attorney general is his former lawyer, his criminal lawyer, his personal lawyer, right? So he's used this guy as a lawyer, and then he's got a lawyer-client privileges, right? So his lawyer can't rat him out Like his lawyers was already working for him, and that's uncommon. Like that's, to have a personal attorney, and then put that personal attorney in as deputy attorney general, someone who's represented you and your interests before, and then to hire that guy to represent the country because it's supposed to be independent from the presidency. That's already criminal shit right there. And the guy can't testify against Trump because he's got privileges, right? Attorney-client privileges, right? And so this thing.
Let me tell you, he's a very talented man. His name is Todd Blanche. He's a very legitimate person, very high.
What do you mean legitimate? He's a very legitimate person? What does that even fucking mean? You mean as opposed to a criminal fucking attorney? Like you're comparing him to Better Call Saul? Like, is this Better Call Saul? This guy's Better Call Saul because you wouldn't have to say he's legitimate. He's fucking assistant attorney general. He better be fucking legitimate. He's very legitimate. Like he's already defending this, right? It's very common to move a person of Ghislaine Maxwell from a maximum security to minimum security. Why is that? Like she's one of the most hated people in America, and the victims say that she's worse than everybody else, right? That Jeffrey Epstein and you and the rest of them. Like she's the real villainess. She's the fucking Kali, of the fucking group, the witch. Like she's fucking bad. Like, and I mean, if anybody should be punished, it's her. Jeffrey Epstein, of course, is dead, and so, like, he's real legitimate. What the fuck are you talking about, right? Like this is criminal speak. Like he's defending something that's not above board.
Talented man. His name is Todd Blanche. He's a very legitimate person, very high. I just a very highly thought of person, respected by everybody.
Okay, so when he means everybody, he means only the people that matter, because it's Trumpers and the Trump team. Because I don't respect him. I don't respect anybody who works for Trump. I don't care what your reason is. The guy's a piece of shit. I don't respect any of these politicians. I don't respect anybody who worked for Biden. I don't respect any of these. I don't respect it. It's not respectable. These are scumbag criminal motherfuckers, right? These are the worst of the worst. So I don't respect it. I'm not a part of everyone. I mean, everyone respect. Like, what the fuck are you talking about, everyone? Do the Democrats respect your former criminal attorney being interviewing Ghislaine Maxwell? This guy has Trump's interests. This is Trump's interest lawyer. He's the guy to make sure that Trump's interests are taken care of. Does he give a shit about the victims? No. Because he said it over and over again. Like he'll say it right here.
Highly thought of person, respected by everybody. And I didn't talk to him about it, but I will tell you that whatever he asked would be totally appropriate. And it's.
Why would it not be appropriate? What would be inappropriate about what he asked Ghislaine Maxwell? What are you talking about? Is he gonna fucking pleasure himself while she regales stories of the fucking Epstein days? Like, what the fuck you mean he's appropriate? Why wouldn't it be appropriate? Right? Like he's everything he's saying is he's telling you it wasn't appropriate, right? I mean, it's just like so fucked up. He's admitting to everything here, and he doesn't even know it. Like this is like I said about alcoholism and things like that, where you're drinking alcohol and your brain doesn't work to show you how you appear to other people. Like he doesn't even understand how bad he's coming off. He comes off like a total criminal here. Like, everything he asked, and him saying, I didn't talk to him about what to say. He knows what to say. He knows what you want from him. And that's to make sure she doesn't fucking incriminate you. That your name does not come out of her fucking mouth. Like, everybody fucking knows that, right? I could be your attorney. I wouldn't, but any of you guys could be his attorney. Like, what would you go to say Ghislaine Maxwell on Trump's behalf if you were going there? If you were Trump's attorney, you'd go there and say, keep the president's name out your fucking mouth, right? Well, even Will Smith could represent fucking, this is what this is about. Keep the fucking president's name out of your fucking mouth, Ghislaine. If you want to fucking, not get Epstein. That's what he said, and that's totally inappropriate. Like, that would be his 100% message. Everybody fucking with half a brain knows it.
I didn't talk to him about it, but I will tell you that whatever he asked would be totally appropriate, and it's not an uncommon thing to do that. And
it's not a common thing for your personal attorney, who's now in guise of doing something for the federal government, to interview your biggest fucking, your kryptonite, your this sex scandal with Jeffrey Epstein, who you've been pals with forever, and all the incriminating information about you being inappropriate with women and young girls, and that you and Jeffrey Epstein have that in common, and that he was fucking one of the biggest sex traffickers working for the CIA and Mossad and all this other fucking bullshit, an asset, and all these people who are involved, all these seedy people. He had an island where he takes these people on a fucking jet that's called the Lolita Express, and all of your supporters want to get the truth about this. It's not uncommon for your personal attorney to go there and tell Ghislaine Maxwell to keep fucking Trump's name out of your fucking mouth, right? And so, like that's not inappropriate. It's not uncommon. Yeah, for criminals, it's not uncommon. For you, it's not uncommon. And for fucking Biden and those fucking guys who are laundering money through his fucking crackhead son, that's not uncommon. But for the rest of us, that's fucking uncommon. Like, you're supposed to be representing us. He's being paid by the American taxpayer to represent us. And we want the fucking truth about Epstein, you motherfucker. We already have the truth. He's guilty as fuck. People just don't want to see it. Like, he's telling you right now he's guilty as fuck. That's what, look at, right there. This was a bubble right here. Like, those little bubbles that, like, you have one that's like that's like, in a cartoon. You have one where it's like, he's talking, so it's a straight line. But then you have one with little circles and bubbles here. Little bubbles. And that means it's what he's thinking. And what he's thinking, it would say, I'm guilty as fuck. Right here, it would say that, right? It would say that right there. He's saying this. There would be whatever he's saying out of here. And over here, there'd be a bubble that would be here for the whole thing, saying I'm guilty as fuck.
Common thing to do that. And I think he probably wants to make sure that, people that should not be involved or aren't involved are not hurt by something that would be very, very unfortunate,
So he's saying people like him who are on the list, who are friends with Jeffrey Epstein, won't be hurt. Nothing about the victims. He's never once talked about the victims because he hates victims, because victims are the girls that he abused. Trump has a whole bunch of victims. He's got victims in industry. He's got victims who are vendors. He bullied and took advantage of. He's victimized people left and right. He's bullied people. He's abused them. He's abused women and young girls. And he said he could walk right up and grab them by the pussy. He doesn't give a shit about a woman he can do that to. If he thinks he can just walk up to a celebrity and grab him by the pussy, he thinks he can just go into a beauty pageant and walk in there and has permission because he's the owner to go inspect the girls who are half naked and they're teenage girls and shit. If he thinks he can just do that, they're not anything but just slaves. They're not, they're not real human beings. They're NPCs. They don't have any rights. So who does he care about? He cares about himself first and foremost, and other people like him who are going to get their names smeared. He didn't give a shit about Bill Clinton because, maybe he does because they're pals. He's part of the same club. But he's throwing Bill Clinton under the bus for the many times that he supposedly went to Epstein Island. But, Trump, he's sending his lawyer in. He said, I didn't talk to him about it, but I think he's just going in there to make sure that she doesn't say any names. He just fucking admitted. He says he's going in there. He sent his lawyer in there. I suppose he's in there talking about how, hey, don't say any names and hurt people, not the victims. He doesn't give a shit about the victims. Let's make that fucking, no, none of these people do. And even the Trumpers who are into this, even the fucking QBs and the people in the truth community, how many people really give a shit about the victims? They want punishment for fucking Epstein and his boys. And they don't want punishment for Trump, or at least they hadn't. And they judge Trump still better than they judge Bill Clinton. Trump's the big fucking whale here. He's the fish. And his lawyer went in there first and foremost to make sure Trump did not get incriminated by Ghislaine Maxwell. Keep your fucking Trump's name out of your fucking Google mouth, your Google hole, right?
not be involved or aren't involved are not hurt by something that would be very, very unfortunate, very unfair to a lot of people. But
what about the victims, you fuck? What about the fucking victims? See, just this whole thing is just a rant admitting to everything. He's admitting to everything, and people don't want to see it. Even the mainstream media isn't covering this like, yeah, he just fucking owned it. He's owning it. He owns the fucking fact that he participated and partook with Jeffrey Epstein.
I will say this, Todd Blanche is one of the most highly respected people you'll ever meet. So I know this. I didn't discuss it with him, but anything he talked about with her or the fact that he did that, not unusual, number one, and most importantly is something that would be totally above board.
Totally above board? Who said it wasn't above board? Like, you know, you're talking about it like you've been incriminated and you're being accused of something and you're saying this is totally above board. Like, why would, like, this is what I said. This is he's coming from a total guiltless conscience. He's got a fucking bubble over here saying, yeah, I'm guilty as fuck. That's what he's just told you. He's guilty as fuck. Totally above board. Why wouldn't it be above board? A fucking guy who's supposed to represent the Attorney General, the Assistant Attorney General, the legal wing of the fucking American government, that somebody's one of the best lawyers in the country that's in that position, some of the top-notch people, prosecutors going after criminals. He's talking to a convicted criminal of the biggest sex scandal that's hit the American public, and that he'd be going in there and you have all these victims who have not been treated very well, as Trump would put it. They haven't been treated very well. I haven't been treated very well. No one treats me very well. Fucking little baby. Fucking real treated very well. They're being like fucking exploited by everybody. Now the Democrats exploiting them, their victimization, and not caring what they want, not going to say what they want, right? They already said they want all the names out. They don't want you to hire 1,000 people to go through fucking, or whatever it is, hundreds of people to go through the fucking transcripts and blot out all the names of the people that you're buddies, and especially your name. They don't want that. They want your name fucking, they know what happened. They know who did what to who, because it was done to them, right? And Ghislaine knows. And so, like, he could be going in there getting the truth, but he's not. He's protecting people. You just said it. And so it's completely above board. No, it's not. Like, it's the opposite above board. It's dark fucking seedy shit where you are clearly fucking incriminated by Jeffrey Epstein and his shit because you participated, because you're a fucking creep and a piece of shit, and now you can't wipe this shit off of you. Your Teflon is fucking gone, bro. Your fucking Teflon's gone. All right, so let me show you these other things, like from my video yesterday. I don't know what the timing is, but you can sort of fast forward if you just want to watch it again. But it's all the times Trump has been creepy and all the things that, show that he's incriminated himself. He's admitted to this stuff over and over again. This is the guy he is. He's telling you, he's screaming to you that he's a scumbag piece of shit, and he's a fucking womanizing pedophile, and he's a fucking serial cheater and a fucking grifter and a scumbag. And his fucking people won't hear it. You could play this for a Trump supporter, and I could say all the things I'm saying here, and they just won't hear it. Well, no, maybe he's on the list, but, he's not as bad as the other guy. No, he's the worst. Other than Ghislaine, Maxwell, and Epstein, he's probably worse than Epstein for his own stuff. But, other than her, like, he's the worst. He's the fucking worst. All right, let's put out other clips here. Okay. So this happened yesterday.
Breaking news sources tell CNN that the Trump administration is considering whether to make an audio recording and transcripts of Ghislaine Maxwell's interview with the Justice Department public. CNN's Elena Treen is back with us from the White House. What can you tell us, Elena?
Yeah, that's right. Well, first I would point out, Pamela, that it wasn't previously known that they actually had made an audio recording of the deputy.
Okay, so if they're making an audio recording of her and they're going to release it, they're thinking about releasing it, either they're bluffing and they're lying, or they made sure that she said something like Trump had nothing to do with it, he never partook. And no one's going to believe that shit. Like, Trump is like so, I don't know about the people around him, but Trump is so out of touch. If Ghislaine Maxwell, who is the most unbelievable person, self-centered person, and fucking, evil fucking person in this whole thing, with lots of bad people. She's the pimp to all this stuff, and the groomer and recruiter and, just all of it, right? Like, she's, the way that she treated those girls. The girls hate her, all the victims. And so she is, maybe, I don't know how people feel about her in the right-wing obsessed Epstein Pizzagate people, but, she's up there with some of the most hated people. And anything she says is to get out of jail free and get a pardon from Trump. And Trump's lawyer went in there and handled her. And so those are the only people that might believe it, Trumpers. And most of them aren't, or some of them aren't. Whatever percentage that is. The Epstein-obsessed Trumpers. Right-wing obsessed Epstein people. And then the rest of the people aren't going to believe it because it's Trump. They don't believe any of his bullshit, right? And they already know he's a liar and a grifter. And so for him to come out and have Ghislaine Maxwell say, yeah, Trump had nothing to do with it, he's innocent. And then for them to release that, think it's going to put an end to it, it's just going to make it worse. And when you factor in that it's Trump's personal attorney. So I thought this yesterday before I saw the clip that I showed you in the beginning here, where Trump was, asked questions by Caitlin Collins. He's like, oh, it's totally above board. It's totally appropriate. It's like she's asking him just a generic question. And she's like, it's totally appropriate. This is the greatest guy ever. Everyone loves this guy. This guy's fucking totally appropriate. The guy is my former defense lawyer. He's a great guy. He's fucking amazing. It's totally appropriate. Why were you, Caitlin, why are you even claiming it's inappropriate when it's totally appropriate? Fucking guy, man. And so, they're going to release this thing only if it's not incriminating to Trump. Anything that comes out is going to be about Trump and his story and protecting Trump. So anything they release is going to either have Trump's name blacked out, or it's going to have no mention of Trump at all. And now he's fucked because everything he puts out is not believable. And it just looks shadier and shadier. He looks more and more guilty. The more cover-up there is, the more guilty you look. So, if they do release this thing, you bet there'll be a part of it, and it'll be the part that everyone talks about, where Ghislaine Maxwell said, oh, Trump, I don't even know the guy. He was totally appropriate. He just, he just likes, he's just like girls that are 18 and older. He just, so, but he already admitted liking a girl, like she's 17 or 18, and he hired her, and then said, then she's working for him, and it's like an addict, it's like an alcoholic having a shot of scotch in front of him, and the way he acted. So we know that he likes young girls, we know it. And so he talks about Jeffrey Epstein liking young girls. So anyways, so that's that fucking thing, right? So holy shit, it's already happened, what I was just talking about. The part you're about to see, the next part, this voiceover, and then my video from yesterday. I already made this whole video. I think I'm already uploading, and I'm going to have to cancel the upload. And I went outside to do some work, and I pulled up YouTube to watch some videos, listen to videos while I was doing work outside. And there was this breaking story, what I said was going to happen, not because I said it, not because I'm great at predicting, I am, but not that anybody can predict this, right? Like Trump is so childish, and his people are so childish and so transparent in terms of, they're not transparent in terms of admitting what piece of shit they are, especially to themselves, but they're transparent in terms of what they're doing, right? So as soon as they said they were going to release the transcripts, I knew it was going to be about Trump, because it's always about Trump. Anything that Trump does and his people do, it's about Trump. So Ghislaine Maxwell was going to come out and say that Trump had nothing to do with it. That was like, a no-brainer. So I saw that yesterday, maybe. Today's Wednesday, the 9th, I think. The 6th, Jesus. All right, and I just said it earlier, like I knew this morning. But anyways, let's watch it here.
We're back with breaking news as the Epstein files fall out in Broyles, Washington. As the DOJ is weighing whether to release transcripts of Deputy AG Todd Blanche's interviews with Epstein co-conspirator and convicted sex trafficker Ghislaine Maxwell, we just got new information about what was discussed in those interviews. It comes as CNN reports top Trump officials are planning to gather at Vice President Vance's residence later today for a strategy meeting. It would include J.D. Vance, White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles, Attorney General Pam Bondi.
Okay, so the big breaking news coming here, which is, I already let the cat out of the bag. They're going to say Trump didn't have anything to do with it. And we'll get to that in a second, obviously. Why do they need to have a strategy meeting? Release everything and fucking go after the people that did the fucking bullshit, that were associated. The enablers, his customers, whatever you want to call them, all these different people, go after all of them. That's what your fucking base want. Those are the people voted for you. That's what they wanted. Fucking do that. You don't need a fucking strategy meeting for that, right? Like, you know how to do that. You release everything. You already know what's in there. So you go after the people in there. But fucking Trump isn't one of those people, right? So they can't fucking do that. So their strategy meeting is, how can we push or cajole or gaslight our base to get off of this thing, because it's a disaster for Trump. And the liberal media now have picked up on it, and it's going to be in 2 years, it'll be a Democratic House and Senate. And as long as it's about Trump, they didn't care about the victims, they didn't care about Epstein until it was Trump was being implicated. And now all of a sudden they care, the mainstream media. But either way, they're fucked, right? That's why they're having a meeting. Like they're going to JD Vance's house to have a we're fucked meeting, right?
Blanche and FBI Director Kash Patel. Now, NBC News has not confirmed that reporting, but moments ago we did get a statement from the family of Epstein survivor Virginia Giuffre, who died by suicide earlier this year. That family
Suicide, allegedly.
Calling for the voices of survivors of Maxwell and Epstein to be heard in this meeting. Joining us now, MSNBC's Justice and Intelligence correspondent Ken Delanian and our legal correspondent Lisa Rubin. Ken, I understand you have new information on this interview between Todd Blanche and Ghislaine Maxwell. What did you learn?
Yeah, good morning, Anna. I'm told by an official familiar with the matter that Ghislaine Maxwell did not say anything that would have implicated Donald Trump in wrongdoing during that night.
Of course, that's the first thing that comes out. The first fucking thing. Now, I thought it'd take a couple of days, but they're going to release this thing to show that Trump had nothing to do with it. Now, fucking who gives a shit what she says? I mean, who believes anything she says? It's so fucking transparent. I mean, the Trumpers, I don't know whether, at this point, everyone knows that this is about Trump. It's not about the victims. It's not about the fucking getting the people who are guilty of being associated with this piece of shit. It's about Trump. It's 100% about Trump. These guys are about Trump. They've been about Trump for the past 8 years. But specifically now, the whole Epstein thing is only about Trump. And Trump's guilty as fuck. And everyone should know it. Like, he's guilty. He's abused underage girls. He's abused women because he said he did, right? He's admitted to it. Like, him walking into their dressing room is a form of sexual abuse. And that's, I worked as a counselor with sex offenders, and that's clearly sexual abuse, right? And using his power and saying that because I'm the owner, I get to inspect them. What? You get to inspect half-naked girls? Well, that's not fucking, is that in the contract, right? Is that something you legally had put in their contract, that they can expect your Job of the Hut ass, fat ass in the fucking dressing room leering at them and shit and touching them and whatever you're doing? So that's abuse. Like, that's just alone. He's, all these other accusation things he's admitted to. Walking up and grabbing a woman by the pussy, that's a sexual assault. He's admitted to these things. He's a fucking creep. But even if he just knew about Jeffrey Epstein doing this for 20 years and went along with it, that would just fucking bury him with his base. If he just admitted he knew about it and didn't say anything and didn't care, that would fuck him anyway. Like, that would show the kind of guy he is. Because the kind of guy they think he is, I mean, some people think he's a second coming of fucking Jesus, right? Second coming of Jesus. The fucking was for Trump. But, that's what these people feel about him. And so this would bury him with the base. Like, if he just knew about it. And he totally knew about it because he said Jeffrey Epstein likes young girls. So it's already out there. The information's out there.
9 hour.
Let's go back a little bit here.
I'm told by an official familiar with the matter that Ghislaine Maxwell did not say anything that would have implicated Donald Trump in wrongdoing during that 9-hour interview with the Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche. It appears to be still up in the air whether the transcripts or the audio of that interview will be released by the Justice Department. As you said, there's a lot of discussions underway inside the Trump administration about how best to handle this whole thing going forward, whether there are still demands for more disclosure. There's also this question of whether the grand jury transcripts will be released, and a judge will have to rule on that, both in the Maxwell case.
Jesus Christ, why are you even talking about this?
And the Epstein investigation. And we do have a new statement from one of Epstein's victims.
I know what he's talking about.
A lawyer for one of the victims, Annie Farmer, who says that, quote, unsealing the grand jury transcripts will illuminate the scope of Epstein and Maxwell's abuse, provide additional insight into those who enabled his abuse, and bring to light how these crimes were investigated and prosecuted. So there's one voice in favor of more transparency, more release. We also do know, though, that the Justice Department told the judge they do not want the exhibits released along with the grand jury transcripts. And that's a big distinction, because the grand jury transcripts would consist of the testimony of the witnesses, which is an FBI agent, an NYPD detective, describing the investigation. The exhibits would include photos, videos, other evidence that was entered into evidence gathered up by the FBI. And again, the Justice Department is saying they don't want those released right now. So that's
of course they don't.
we stand on it.
And so, Lisa, you've been talking to some of the attorneys of victims as well. How do you see this disclosure, what Ken just reported out about the interview between Maxwell and Blanche and what she did or didn't say?
I think it's interesting because I think what's more illuminating than her answers, particularly given that she was charged with perjury previously and many people don't think she can be trusted, are what questions did Todd Blanche ask her?
So two big statements. She just made two good statements there. Number one, she's committed perjury, which is, again, she's a liar because she groomed girls to be abused by some creepy young girls, and I mean going after them to be abused by these elitist fucks, right? So she's a low-life piece of shit. There's no lower. She's probably like a fucking, one of those fucking devil-worshipping, Aleister Crowley type of fucking person, right? But that's that. No one. She's not trustworthy. And she wants a pardon from Trump, and Trump's lawyer's interviewing her. And so, Trump had said he wished her well, probably meaning, don't fucking use my name and maybe we can help hook you up later on. And so she wants help one way or another from the Justice Department, and she knows shitting on Trump isn't the way to get it, right? We all know that. But what questions did the guy ask is a great statement, because the questions he asked, which Trump already said, was to protect the people that were around and on Jeffrey Epstein's list. These guys don't give a shit about these girls. These girls are nothing to them. And if they don't give a shit about these girls, they don't give a shit about your daughters or your sons or you or any of these people, right? And so, here it is. Like, this is so predictable. Like, as soon as I saw this headline yesterday, I'm like, all right, she's going to come out and say Trump is innocent. That's all this is about. This guy interviewing her was about her to say Trump had anything to do with it. And she's a lying piece of shit because, she's a horrible person. She's not worried about perjury or these other things. She wants a fucking pardon. She wants some kind of reduction in her sentence. And so, if she has something to say about Bill Clinton, sure, they'll love that shit. They'll lap it up. And if they can get her to say something that'll shift the blame from Trump to Bill Clinton, but everyone should fucking be able to see through it, right? That she is a lying piece of shit that's just looking to kiss Trump's ass so she can get out of jail. And that, their whole strategy here is nothing to do with the victims, nothing to do with the truth, nothing to punish those people. I mean, he already said they didn't want to punish Hillary Clinton, right? He said that he protected her. And so, he's always been on the side of the elitists and the people that the Republicans hate. It's just like somehow he's hoodwinked these people. So anyways, there it is, right? I mean, you can see if any more interesting things here.
That will be as important to the victims as the way that Ghislaine Maxwell herself answered the questions. And the reason is because while the victims are in favor of full transparency, barring disclosure of their names or identifying details, they also believe that there's something funky about this interview, that the administration is using this as cover for releasing all of the files within its possession. And therefore, they are interested in seeing how this interview was conducted. I had one lawyer for some of the...
Okay, so you get it, right? I mean, of course they are, because they all know. Everyone knows this is a way of Trump avoiding being, his name not being out there. Because once Trump's name's in there, and then he has to explain, especially after all the fucking ways he's made himself sound guilty as fuck, the way he's admitted that he's a part of it, and the way that he's, 100% about protecting him and the people like him. And so, it's just fucking silly. Anyways, so, like I said, I was pretty stunned that this happened this quickly. But the first thing they do to release this statement from Trump's his personal defense attorney that's represented Trump, and now he goes in there and he gets a statement from Ghislaine Maxwell saying, or just her not mentioning Trump's name, which she already fucking knew. She's not stupid. I mean, of course she's not going to go in there and use Trump's name. He has all the political power here. And so this is just fucking silly, right? And, how long do the Trumpers, fight off this idea that this guy's not only fucking complicit, but he's guilty of partaking of Jeffrey Epstein's deviant fucking behaviors. And he's not the guy they thought he was. This should end his presidency. This is a scandal that when his name goes floating out there, they're never going to release it. Because, if they do, they're going to have to cross out every name and every reference that would indicate it was about Trump. Anyways, here's the ending of the video. Okay, so I'm going to wrap this one up here. I'm going to add the part of my video from yesterday. I've made this into a compilation that gets an hour long. And it has probably only a fraction of what's out there of Trump displaying his inner condition, what he is inside. And his major thing is women. Like he has, I mean, unless it's a big cover up and he dude's really, abusing boys or something like that. He's bought a beauty pageant. He's married 3 different women, all model-esque, skanky kind of Kardashian types of, these women who are really about appearance and, wealth and these things, right? Cheated on all 3 of his wives, banged a porn star, said he could grab women by the pussy, all the things that are there for him, all the accusations of him abusing women, inspecting them, all the things he's admitted to, right? And then his friendship with Jeffrey Epstein, says Jeffrey Epstein loved beautiful women as much as he did, and then said he likes them young, all that stuff, right? And so Trump has displayed what he is inside. He has an obsession with beauty, and not real beauty, like this fake beauty, this artificial beauty. And not only just with women, but he likes good-looking people. He likes people who can be on TV. He's very superficial. He's not a deep person. He doesn't care about deep things, and it's all about money and flash, gaudiness. He has poor taste in pretty much everything. And he's a failed businessman, a grifter, and somebody who's, big on appearances and not much else than that. And he has these deviant tendencies and objectification of, treating women and young girls like objects and without, basically blow-up dolls, slaves. And, he's displayed this attitude over and over again. And he likes to get away with shit. Like he likes to go against not only the law, but social norms and conventional norms. He doesn't have any sense of no moral compass. And all that stuff is pretty much represented in just this most recent thing with Jeffrey Epstein, but other things he's done before. And he doesn't believe anything. He's not a godly person. He's not trying for self-improvement. He's just a piece of shit, right? Just the prototypical piece of shit. And so, it's just right there for everyone to see. And yet people just won't see it, which is bizarre. People only see what they want to see. And, the Trumpers don't want to see this. And it's just there. He's never been hiding it. Like, since he's been famous, he's just been pretty open about all these things, right? I mean, going on The View and say he's sexually attracted with his daughter, and then fucking, just and all the stuff that, like, happened around those types of things, all the accusations over the years, and nobody's held him accountable for anything. And it's just like, well, that's just who he is, and, like, it's been accepted. So anyways, like I said, I'll add on the video from yesterday after I say the exit here, the goodbye part of the video. Only spirituality will save this world. It's paramount, definitely important for the apocalypse. And the ascension, everyone have a blessed day and be grateful. So it wasn't Larry King, it was this interview. Let me show you these clips of Trump. And this all show you that Trump is for the elite, right?
Do you think he could have gotten away with a complete mea culpa in January when he decided to cover it up? Do you think at that moment he could have said, I'm going to throw all my money on the table, the American people like me, they're going to buy this?
Well, I think he probably couldn't do any worse. I don't think he could do worse. I think his lawyers, and in particular the lawyer...
So this is talking about getting away with something, right? So Bill Clinton cheated on his wife in the White House with an 18-year-old intern, right? So this is the official story. Monica Lewinsky was an 18-year-old girl, so barely legal. And he had sex with her in the Oval Office, which is considered sacred by many people. And this is back, in the 80s or whatever it was, that this stuff wasn't okay, right? So Trump has banged a porn star. I mean, and then paid her off, and it doesn't matter. Trump has said he can grab women by the pussy, and he still got elected. Now, there was Democrats and people were outraged, but that would never have happened. Bill Clinton or anybody had said back then that celebrities could just have this privilege of walking up to women and grabbing by the pussy. They would fucking be, that would be it. They would be done. Like, there was just no tolerance for anything like that. That wouldn't even be played. Like, it It was too, gross. And Trump would later come back out and say, unfortunately or fortunately, that is the case. When he was being deposed, he was in a deposition, that he believed that was, unfortunately or fortunately, that's just the way it is, right? So, but here he is, they're talking about how Bill Clinton could get out of this. Instead of saying, yeah, we have to have standards. This is just a dead deal, a done deal. Bill Clinton should be gone. Like we should not tolerate this behavior. He has crossed a line that should forever. You don't bang an 18-year-old girl who's not your wife in the White House. Like that's just something you don't do. Not just because of the sacredness of the presidency and the office of the presidency, because what it said to young kids and what it said about our morality, right? So, I mean, he should have just been done. But the fact that Bill Clinton was and he got away with it, Trump and everybody else watched this, just like everybody sees Trump getting away with stuff. And they're like, all right, this is what we can do. Like, we the American people aren't going to fucking hold us accountable. Let's just steal the shit. Let's, steal them fucking blind, right? If you're not going to, these guys are all criminals. And if you're not going to stand up to them, they're going to fucking bully you and take your shit, right? Because they know that you're not going to do anything about it. They're not people who have some, moral compass, right? So this is him showing that.
Won't even mention names, but representing him with respect to Paula Jones, I thought did a terrible job. Right. He should have never been there. He should have never gotten in there. I mean, what Bennett did in that case was, I think he just did a terrible job.
You would have settled.
Well, I would have done something certainly different than what they did. I mean, that all started it. Paula Jones is a loser, but the fact
Paula Jones is a loser, right? So Paula Jones accused Bill Clinton of rape, and for right-wing people, they all were on Paula Jones' side. I mean, there's that woman, Juanita Broderick, who allegedly, I don't know if it's her, but, they say it's her. She's got a check mark, but she tweets for Trump on a daily basis. Like, every third day, I get a Juanita Broderick fucking quote. Something pro-Trump. And she's not backing down from being pro-Trump right now. And yet, she was, with Paula Jones, they were together. Like, she wouldn't call Paula Jones a loser. She would call her somebody that was, one of her fellow accusers of Bill Clinton. Paula Jones is a loser? Well, that's how Trump feels about women. They're there to be victimized. And they're sex slaves. That's why he liked Jeffrey Epstein, and so did Bill Clinton. This was their view. They're there to service great, powerful men. And they shouldn't fucking whine about, abuse and shit like that, because he's pro-elite and anti-victim. Right? Paula Jones is a loser.
Different than what they did. I mean, that all started it. Paula Jones is a loser, but the fact is that she may be responsible for bringing down a president indirectly. And, that statement was a bad statement to have been made, and it's proven to be false. So,
which statement was that? I'm sorry.
There's Paula Jones in the deposition,
right,
which really started this.
But he denied it, which is if you're in a hole, stop digging.
Well,
is there a certain point where you have to just sort of walk away from the deal and say, I'm not dealing here anymore, I'm going to drop this line?
Well, I think his little speech afterward was a disaster. It wasn't the right tone, and I'm not sure he should have done it. And I'm not even sure that he shouldn't have just gone in and taken the Fifth Amendment and said, look.
So he's guilty, right? Like taking the Fifth Amendment. Like Jeffrey Epstein took the Fifth Amendment when asked if him and Trump was there when he was abusing girls. And Jeffrey Epstein took the Fifth. I got some fucking comments from Trumper when I covered this before. I showed Jeffrey Epstein saying, he took the Fifth Amendment when asked about Trump. Let me see if I can find that video next.
I don't get along with this man, Starr. He's after me. He's a Republican. He's this, he's that. And, just taking the Fifth Amendment. It's a terrible thing for a president to take the Fifth Amendment, but he probably should have done it.
Because he's guilty. So he's trying to find ways. This is like Chris Matthews is asking Trump, how would he have handled this scandal? So you've banged a girl that's 18 years old in the White House. How would you handle this scandal? And Trump's like, yeah, these guys played it all wrong. Like, this is criminal talk. It's what criminals would say, right? Like, how can we get away with it? Well, what's the best way to get away with this? We've been caught doing something wrong. How can we handle this better? I don't know, take the Fifth, this loser, or, this stuff, that victim's a loser, all these things, right? Because that's how Trump feels, right? Trump is a part of this fucking mindset, a criminal mindset. He's a part of the elite. And these people are just there to service you. And if one of your plebes, one of your pawns, one of your fucking slaves speaks out about your abuse, how do you handle it? Like, you know, how dare they fucking do that to such a great man? Don't they know I have pussy privilege? I could just go grab by the pussy? I'm Trump. I'm Donald Trump. I'm not some fucking normal guy. You know, that he said in that other, that, you know, he had the right on Howard Stern. Let me show you those clips here. So this is Trump's E. Jean Carroll testimony.
Access Hollywood tape, which Trump watched during his deposition.
You know, I'm automatically attracted to beautiful. I just start kissing them. It's like a magnet. I don't even wait. And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything.
Trump has dismissed that as locker room talk, but in his deposition, he went further.
Well, historically, that's true with stars.
It's true with stars that they can grab women by the...
Well, that's what it's. If you look over the last million years, I guess that's been largely true. Not always, but largely true. Unfortunately or fortunately.
Like, why would it be fortunate? You know, that, what are you saying, what would be fortunate about that? That as a star, you could just walk up to any woman. And the majority of women, it's not true. Like, there are women who want to be around stars and celebrities. There's women who would be shocked and would be traumatized and unable to tell you what a piece of shit you are. And they would feel violated. They go into a state of shock. But that's kind of what he gets off on, right? And so, you know, just because you get away with it doesn't mean that this is a fucking privilege. Because the majority of women, they would, like, what percentage you think would be okay with Trump just walking up to him? This is back whatever, like he was on The Apprentice, and grabbing him by the pussy. Like, maybe the people who are around him, there's a higher percentage of that because they're, you know, they want the advantages of having a relationship with Trump. You know, prostituting themselves like fucking hoes. But, you know, very few, right? And so he's saying that historically, that's just the way it is. That's just the way it is. I don't know. You know, like, that's what he's saying. And that these women who complain about it, don't you know it's the way it is, right? Don't you know that's just how it is? And so, brutal. Like, brutal fucking stuff. I mean, just, like, he's a horrible fucking person.
And you consider yourself to be a star?
I think you can say that, yeah.
So, holy shit, right? Like, he didn't say, oh, yeah, that was just, like, he called it locker room talk, all these things. But he was saying, yeah, I'm just telling the truth. Like, that's just how it is. I have a star. That's my pussy privilege. I could just go up and, you know, fucking, I mean, that's what Trump was fucking saying, right? And, like, thinking that way. Because I don't know any woman, I've never experienced any woman in my life that would be okay with Trump just doing that. Right? Do you? Like, how many women do you know in your life? Maybe like one or two? You know, like you have a... But even, you know, I mean, like, you can't even, like, do that shit if you're, like, at a strip club. They beat the shit out of you if you touch the strippers. I mean, if you just touch their leg and shit, they throw you out. You're not supposed to touch the strippers, like this kind of thing, right? Like all these kind of degraded fucking places and stuff. Like even prostitutes, if you haven't paid them. Like, I mean, you know, it would be a rare person that would be just okay with. And, you know, and you have to look at it like grabbing you by, you know, your male genitalia. It would be okay if, like, a gay dude come up and grabbed you, like a famous gay dude. Just grab, like, would Trump be okay with that, right? Or some go grabbing his sons. You know, one of these famous gay guys went up and grabbed Barron Trump's junk, right? Would Trump be okay with that, right? You know, like, it's just, and it's far less invasive. I mean, it's still uncool and gross and bad, but it's far less invasive than doing that to a woman who's more vulnerable physically and a totally different, you know, dynamic. And so, you know, this is what Trump believes.
Donald Trump loves a beauty pageant. And by his own admission, he was no stranger backstage while owning parts of 3 different pageants for nearly 2 decades.
You know, they're standing there with no clue. Is everybody okay? And you see these incredible looking women. And so I sort of get away with things like that.
In 2001,
I sort of get away with things like that. Right? I sort of? No, you do get away with it. So why?
Tasha Dixon was Miss Arizona competing in the Miss USA pageant. She experienced this kind of awkward moment firsthand.
our first introduction to him was when we were at the dress rehearsal and half naked changing into our bikinis.
Dixon was 18 at the time and says watching.
So 18. So Jeffrey Epstein likes him young. That's what Trump's quote was. And Trump likes him young. So if Trump likes 18 girls, then how old was Jeffrey Epstein in that 2002 quote? How old is the girls that Jeffrey Epstein likes, right?
Trump storm into a dressing room was shocking.
To have the owner come waltzing in when we're naked or half naked in a very physically vulnerable position, and then to have the pressure of the the people that work for him telling us to go fawn all over him, go walk up to him, talk to him, get his attention. Who do you complain to? He owns the pageant. So there's no one to complain to. Everyone there works for him.
In 2005, 4 years later, Donald Trump bragged to Howard Stern about what he could get away with since he owned the pageants. The conversation uncovered by CNN's K-File.
I'll go backstage before a show. Yes. And everyone's getting dressed and ready and everything else. And, no men are anywhere. And I'm allowed to go in because I'm the owner of the pageant, and therefore I'm inspecting it.
You're like a doctor. I'm inspecting it like a doctor. You're not a fucking doctor. And so, these girls don't have any rights. They don't have any choice in the matter, right? That he thinks that he can just go in there and look at them naked. Again, as a parent, if you were a parent and your daughter, of course, these things are all very greasy, these fucking pageants, right? But, he's going in there as a predator. He's not inspecting them, right? Remember, that guy said that they make them stand on stage, even the teens. And Trump this guy who worked for Trump, and he was a handler of talent. And he came out and started talking about Trump being like sniffing Adderall and all these other things. I covered that guy. But he said Trump inspected the girls. And so Trump is inspecting the girls in their dressing room. Like they're going to be in bikinis. And why do you have to inspect them? They've won their state pageants. You don't have to inspect them. Fuck you talking about? I have to inspect them, right? Like, they're not inspecting shit, right? They're fucking.
I'm the owner of the pageant, and therefore I'm inspecting it.
Like
everything is good.
Later in that same show, Trump is asked if he'd ever had sex with Miss USA or Miss Universe contestants.
Never comment on things like that.
Give us the first letter of the country you had sex with.
How many letters are there?
This comes just weeks after Hillary Clinton brought up Trump's attack.
Okay, so this all was there. And they elected him anyway. Like, it was just obvious. Like, what he's thinking that as a rich, powerful man, as the owner of a pageant, and these guys like Bill Clinton, the women should just submit to them because they don't have any choice in the matter. There's no consensual type of situation. And they could just force themselves on him. And this is stuff that's said over and over about Trump. He would lord over the girls in these situations. And, this is, it's just his personality, right? And all these people who, think that Trump, they're deluding themselves, thinking that Trump would stand up for the little guy. When Trump crushed vendors and people he had deals with, he'd break the deal, wouldn't pay his vendors. He would bully people and force himself on them. And they were lesser than him. They were just his slaves, these people without their own, they're just NPCs, non-character players. Like he thinks everyone else is an NPC. That's how narcissistic he is, right? So to think that Trump would ever stand up for victims when he's always been on the side of the victimizer and the elite, people and the corporations, he's always on Monsanto's side. He's always on the evil side of things. He has been his whole fucking life. And then this guy.
Have you ever socialized with Donald Trump in the presence of females under the age of 18?
Though I'd like to answer that question, at least today, I'm going to have to assert my 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendment rights, sir.
That's the way he said that he socialized with Donald Trump. The first part was he said that he socialized with him. So he's taking the 5th on this situation. So, he's saying that within the confines, if he answers that question, he would incriminate himself, right? So that's fucked, right? If you're being asked those questions about something like that, you're saying that if I answer that question, I'm going to incriminate myself. So he's therefore saying, that yes, he did spend time with Donald Trump, with these young girls and socialize with them, which he did. Like, he fucking did that. It's happened, right? Donald Trump was inspecting 18-year-old girls who, without their permission, and maybe even younger, because he also owned the Miss Teen pageant, where it'd be 16, 17-year-old girls, and he's walking in their dressing rooms. Imagine the fucking gall to walk into a female dressing room without any shame and embarrassment, and fucking feeling like, like totally inappropriate about that, not feeling like icky feeling in your stomach, that he would like it. He would get off on it. I'm the owner of the pageant. I'm going to go inspect these girls. Like, but fucking, and he got away with it, right? So, like, what does that tell him? Well, you can just go up and do things like that, right? Grab him by the pussy. So that's who Trump is. He is a fucking pro-elite, anti-victim person. Okay, so I found that this comment was from a while ago when I presented this thing you just saw, right? The whole Epstein thing. And this was a video entitled, when Trump were perv bros. Jeffrey Epstein and Trump were perv bros. I like some of your content, but you're being a little disingenuous. When Jeffrey Epstein asked if he and Trump had ever socialized with young women, and he pleaded the fifth, he knew the question was being framed to be used against him and incriminate him with Trump. The word socialize is defined as mingling or conversating or gathering, as a completely different meaning than saying something like intercourse. You don't know what Jeffrey Epstein meant, so don't tell me I'm being disingenuous, right? I'm not saying that it necessarily meant they were having sex, right? But of course it didn't. Like, nobody was saying that. But socialize would mean that Trump was around these young girls. And so Trump wasn't, like, let's say you're 50 and 60-year-old men, whatever they were back then. Like, Trump was 50, late 40s, 50s, 60s, hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein. Trump was in his 44 in 1990, so he would be 50s and early 60s. So old fucking men. Why would old men be socializing with underage girls? I mean, fucking, that in itself is incriminating. You think that Trump would be socializing with these girls with not the idea of them being sexual objects? You think Trump just liked to have conversations? Him and Jeffrey Epstein would just like to sit down and talk to 15-year-old girls and find out what their worldview is and ask them about business plans and any number of topics. You ever had a conversation with a 15 or 16-year-old when you're in your 40s or 50s? You think you just randomly talk to kids that age? It was just, and why not boys then? Why just girls, right? So, I mean, it's a fucking, let me read the rest of the comment here. You're being a little disingenuous. When Jeffrey Epstein was asked if he and Trump had socialized with young girls, and he pleaded the fifth, he knew that the question wasn't being framed to be used against him, incriminate him and Trump. You're talking like a fucking criminal. You're saying I'm being disingenuous. If Trump was hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein and young girls, then Trump knew that Jeffrey Epstein was banging young girls, right? I mean, he's at least complicit. But Trump himself was walking in on these, the evidence is overwhelming against Trump. Like the denial of these motherfuckers, right? The word socialize is defined as mingling or conversing or gathering. It's a completely different meaning than saying something like intercourse. Yeah, but I mean, if you're hanging out with 14-year-old girls and Jeffrey Epstein is known for banging them, like you're just, what evidence do you need that Trump, he says he could just goes up and grab women by the pussy, and he hung out with Jeffrey Epstein and said that Jeffrey Epstein liked young girls, and Trump was going into Miss Teen USA and Miss USA pageant with their 16, 17, 18, 19-year-old girls half naked because he got to inspect them. And you think this guy's fucking innocent? Like, what the fuck you talking about, right? Like, it's just the level of their fucking stupidity and their denial. Everyone has socialized with underage people numerous times in their life. It does not mean that they have something disgusting or illegal with them. You mean your kids? Or through work? Like, we're talking about two 50, 60-year-old men hanging out in a fucking casino, one of Trump's club or whatever it was, or Jeffrey Epstein's fucking office or island or airplane with 15 or 16-year-old girls. That's like not fucking socializing with your, going over your friend's house who has some kids and you and you say, "Hi, how are you? What's going on with your school?" Like, it's we're not talking about that. We're talking about Jeffrey Epstein and Trump being alone with 15, 16-year-old girls, right? Doesn't mean something disgusting or illegal with them. I'm not saying he is innocent or guilty because I really don't know. I only have my own opinions. He's fucking guilty, right? You not factually because you can't get the facts, but he's fucking guilty. Like, Trump is fucking guilty. He said he could walk up and grab women by the pussy. He said that he's attracted to his daughter. There's all these pictures of him being creepy with young women. Investigate for a crime in a court of law. Anything you can say will and can be used against you. Also, everyone's so focused on the fact that Jeffrey Epstein associates are diddlers. I tend to think that this way more complex and dark than that. Yeah, well, Trump is a part of it. Like, he is there with him. And you know he's fucking guilty. You just won't admit it, right? You're being disingenuous. Like, you're trying to fucking figure out a way he's innocent. There's no fucking excuse for any of the shit that Trump did. Like, it's just, like, this is how delusional these motherfuckers are. You're thinking that I'm being disingenuous because I, believe the evidence that's there in front of us. This is who Trump was. Trump and Jeffrey Epstein like women. Trump was quoted that Jeffrey Epstein liked young women. Trump didn't even have to participate with, he did, but he didn't even have to participate. He just had to know about it. He just had to know what Jeffrey Epstein was doing, and that makes him complicit and a piece of shit, right? That he knew this guy was abusing young women. It says everything you would need to know that Trump was okay with that. Even if Trump was just okay with Jeffrey Epstein doing what he was doing, and Ghislaine Maxwell doing what she was doing. Like, he was okay with it. There's no way he wasn't aware of what they were doing and he wasn't okay with it. Because he's okay with that kind of behavior. He thinks elite people have privileges. Rich and famous, powerful people have privileges over other people. He says it all the time. Is every possible way he said it his entire life. And he thinks he can bully people and force them to bow to his will, which is another thing that he does. He's a bully, and this is how he acts. There's no this is not speculation. You have a, lifetime full of Trump displaying this shit with people just, right in front of their fucking faces. See, this is the people that, let me show you this other comment. This is to, Trump says Epstein stole Virginia Giuffre from him. An old video Trump's admits, and I fucking misspelled admits really badly. Anyways, Paul, you sound like a hater liberal. Are you on the side with Obama? Paul? Question mark? It's a space before the question mark. You don't even fucking punctuate shit, you moron. But, this is what they're, like, how much do you need before you realize you're wrong and you're completely wrong and duped, and, like, everything you think and believe is a fucking lie about your belief system and what you think is what you think are the good guys or not the good guys, and you enshrining Trump as some sort of a saint, right? When he clearly is a worthless piece of shit that fucking couldn't wait to take your money and walk on top of you and shit on you and, like, fucking look down on you because that's what he does, and just he tells you what you want to hear, and you fucking believe it when all the evidence shows just the opposite, right? So the other thing about Trump's personality, I got one more thing to show you, 2 old clips, or older clips, but this thing was from a couple days ago. So there's this Sydney Sweeney scandal where she is in some kind of commercial for jeans. Is it American Apparel, American, something like that. It's a stupid scandal. She seems like a kind of a dope. And she says, I have good genes, Genes, and it's crossed out. And then it says jeans, Jeeans. And they're saying having good genes is because she looks like a little Nazi. And, it's a bogus scandal, probably fake, being put out by the liberals to provoke the right-wing attitude about it, right? But Trump is asked first about...
Good decision.
Mr. President, what is your relationship with Laura Loomer? What kind of influence with Laura Loomer? What kind of influence does she have in the White House?
I think she's very nice. I mean, I know she's known as a radical right, but I think Laura Loomer is a very nice person. I've known her for a long time. And, personally, I think she's a patriot. She's
a horrible person. Like, she's just gross. She's obnoxious. She's, she brings shame on the truth community by being a fake truther. She's Jewish and pro-Israel and anti-Palestinian, just fucking gross. And, you know, right-wing, trying to be like a fucking one of those Trump truthers, but just a piece of shit. And obnoxious and gross, just fucking gross. But what is it that Trump likes about her? Well, I mean, they've been rumored to have some sort of sexual relationship, and they may or may not be true. But she loves Trump and supports him. So that's, you know, that's the definition of why Trump likes somebody, that they like him. And this is the other piece here.
And she gets excited because of the fact that she's a patriot, and she doesn't like things going on that she thinks are bad for the country. I like her. Okay?
President, actress Sydney Sweeney came out this weekend that she was a registered Republican. Any thoughts on that?
That who was?
Sydney Sweeney. She's like a very hot actress right now.
She's a registered Republican?
Yes.
Oh, now I love her ad. Is that right? Is Sydney Sweeney? You'd be surprised at how many people are Republicans. That's what I wouldn't have known, but I'm glad you told me that. If Sydney Sweeney is a registered Republican, I think her ad is fantastic. Okay.
No, it's a fake scandal. American Apparel probably made that scandal happen because it's bringing so much attention to them. It's promoting that they're like, you know, I mean, who's thinking about American Apparel jeans or whatever it is, right? But now they got national attention. So I think it's a fucking bullshit scandal. But let's say it wasn't. Let's say that there's some sense that there was some Nazi fucking hidden symbolism there. Trump wouldn't give a shit about any of that. All he cares about is, and he doesn't care about what the company is or stands for, is that Sydney Sweeney's a registered Republican and therefore liked Trump and voted for Trump. So that's another part of Trump, right? Like it's all about him and his people and the people that like him. Like, so, you know, that kind of narcissism that you only like the people who like you. You only like the people who have, you know, or not just like, but support or believe that they're good people. Like everyone who doesn't like you should just die or be locked up or whatever. They're just not, you know, the only people that matter are the ones that like you, right? I mean, you know, even if someone's neutral, like, but if they like him, holy shit, right? And he surrounds himself with those people who won't tell him the truth about his disastrous policies. And you can't run a government or anything like that, you know, and anybody who likes Trump or butters him up, Trump will give them whatever they want. One more thing here, you know, one more clip here, but just to finish up what I was saying there. See, to be a functioning person, to be a person on your spiritual journey, you have to question your own bullshit, right? You have to want to improve, and you need to have a way of receiving information to correct wrong thinking, wrong behaviors, accepting things that you're doing that are bad. Like you have to, you know, there's people who sleep on a bed of nails, or people who, like that character Simon, I think his name was in the Dan Brown movie, the whatever it was, the Mona Lisa movie, right? You know, his original big book that came out, whatever that was called. I'll remember it in a second. The Da Vinci Code. And so there's a guy who whipped himself, self-flagellating. There's this element in spirituality where people think of themselves as a sinner. And it's not appropriate. But you can think of yourself as a potential demon. You know, you have a part of you that wants to go full demon and go against the will of God and hijack your soul's purpose. And then you have your soul. It's like the saint, you know, people have the angel on one shoulder and the devil on the other. And when you're making decisions, you realize that you have like some conscience that's telling you not to do something. You see this in pretty much every movie, every TV show. You see where people have a crisis of conscience, where they're about to make a decision about, you know, what direction to take their life. And, you know, they're battling with some demons or battling with whatever it is. And they're like, you know, they, and we all do that. Like we all have to, we know what the right thing to do is. And it can be just like, all right, making good choices about food, like McDonald's food and things like this. Like we know things are bad for us. We know things are like fucking bring out the worst in us. We can hang out with good people. You know, it's a difference of going to church or going to a strip club, or, you know, not that I, you know, endorse church. I talk about what organized religion is. So, you know, I mean, maybe the strip club is a little bit more honest, but both are bad, you know, in their way. But if you go to a good church where there's a good pastor and there's good energy, it's something different, right? There's no good strip clubs, right? There's no strip clubs that have a good energy. There's no porns that have, you know, loving energy, right? It's all degraded, low vibrational shit. But religions themselves can do more damage and drive people to those things by not providing an accurate description of your relationship with God. Then there's wanting, you know, when you have a relationship with God, then you have, you're aware of your bullshit. You're aware of your negative tendencies. You're aware when you're doing something wrong. You have a conscience. You have morals. You have ethics. When you have an internal relationship with God, when you're meditating, and your bullshit is in front of you, you're like, yeah, I lied about that, or it's, you know, this is not a good view. You know, this is not good qualities that I have, and you have to be able to change. You know, so Trump is the opposite of that, where he's only having yes people and people are going to tell him how great he is. And when he gets negative feedback, he fires people and, you know, he dismisses it and denies it, right? When he gets faced with the truth. And you can't be a good person or a good leader when that's the case. And so ultimately you become a demon, and that's what Trump is. Like, he's an ego run completely amok, and he's not connected to God in any real way, only doing work, you know, as a demon in the role, a divine role that is, you know, a demon that brings down America and, you know, the world or whatever, of a demonic system. A demon who's so selfish that he brings down a demonic system, which is, you know, a net positive, right? But still, he's not doing it purposefully.
If you were president, would you declassify, you can answer yes or no to these, would you declassify the 9/11 files?
Yeah.
Would you declassify JFK files?
Yeah. I did a lot of it.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
All right.
I guess I would. I think that less so because, you know, you don't know. You don't want to affect people's lives if it's phony stuff in there, because there's a lot of phony stuff with that whole...
You don't want to affect people's lives, not the victims. You don't want to affect people who are like Trump, who hung out with Jeffrey Epstein. You know, there's a lot of funny stuff, and now it's calling it an out-and-out hoax that was created for the Democrats to go after him. Like, that's his view on it now, which nobody fucking agrees with him. Like, even his polling, like, Jesus Christ, that's what you're going with? And so, you know, this was Trump's always his opinion of it. He knew his name was in it, and he knew his people, his peers, or people name was in it. All these associates, and Jeffrey Epstein associated with so many different people. If all the names came out, you were like, oh man, like that's like a third of the famous people, right? A third of the famous people, you know, really famous people, Jeffrey Epstein hung out with. And people from every walk of life that had influence, moneyed people, bankers, financial people, politicians, celebrities, just across the board. And so that's why they keep on saying, just because you're on the list doesn't mean you're guilty, but you're guilty of something. You're guilty of bad fucking decision making, right?
World. But I think I...
Go back a little bit here.
You don't want to affect people's lives if it's phony stuff in there, because there's a lot of phony stuff with that whole world. But I think I would, or at least...
Do you think that would restore trust? Help restore trust?
Yeah, I don't know about Epstein so much as I do the others.
So, you know, that was that, right? We saw this. And so this is showing Trump that he's elitist. This is what Trump cares about.